Let me just record so that this Jen can follow through some of our sharing. Maybe she can be able to pick it up at her own time over the weekend. So I will let it flow. Feel free just to explore into us what you think, what you have come up with. And it doesn't matter how the shape is. Even if it's one thing, no worry. You're building it from there.
Okay, actually, when you now give that just one pointer of the validations,
so I don't know that I lost you, Barbara.
I realized that. Oh, you can't hear me?
I think it was frozen. I think it's back now.
Oh, okay. So I was saying, as you shared the initial simple validations that you would share with us, I was saying, as I was developing this, I didn't have anything behind my mind, like anything to think about. Yep. So I will just give it raw as I thought about it.
Yes.
Can you give me 1 minute? I close my door so
That's
I
fine.
have no interruption.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so let me try and share. I don't know, I have it on my desk.
Awesome. That's okay. Go ahead.
Can you see this?
Yeah, just come. Yes, yes.
Okay, so I looked at my convictions. I had many.
Yeah.
I was looking at people and planet, like you had advised.
Yeah.
So I realized that I live with people who have problems. I live with people who are confused.
Yeah.
I have people who are stressed. There are people who are who may be at a certain level, but they lack the confidence to move a step further. I was looking at people who wanted to stabilize their relationships or even start new relationships or even maintain the ones they have. And I also saw people who are amidst our communities who want to follow up some certain career, but they do not know how to go about it or which career they should choose. So I looked at also people who are emotionally stressed. Some of them have so many things that are on their minds that are disturbing them. Some of them don't even know the reasons why. And so I looked at people who have those needs, people who need to discover their goals, they need to discover their biases, their emotions, their weaknesses, and strengths. I looked at people who want to build their confidence, they need to know themselves better and to manage their mental well-being. So in short, those were what I regard the needs, my convictions, what I think I would identify as the needs of the people. So level 2, I looked at how do I impact, that is my niche. So I said I would go in for young leaders so that I help, them. Let me not go to the help, but young leaders, let me look at the niche itself. Then next, I looked at teenagers and adolescents. And then I looked at high school leavers. And from that niche, of course, I'm looking at the other needs. Now I was narrowing it down to the target group. And then level 3, my missional mandate. How do I impact on these categories I have identified? And I thought with young leaders, I would help unlock their minds through one-on-one coaching sessions. So that, for instance, I help them discover their goals, their values, their passion, those things. Then I looked at the teenagers. I thought I would impact by facilitating reflection through, again, one-on-one coaching sessions, because these are teenagers who don't know what is going on. They are confused. They are at crossroads over so many things. So if I could sit with them and help them find, they understand what is in their mind. So reflections and unlocking mind would help. And that would be through either group trainings or one-on-one sessions. So again, for high school leavers, because they are really also trying to get into another phase, they have skipped the level of teenagers and adolescents. I thought I would enhance awareness through, again, group training, and then I follow up with them through, for instance, university life. I keep on tracking their progress, but as I continue raising their awareness. So again, it could take either one-on-one or group trainings. And level 4, as saying how they change the impact model. So I was saying, as I unlock their minds through the one-on-one sessions, I would be developing their reflective and learning mindset through the other sessions that I would hold. So I would basically work on their mind. Same to level 2, reflective mindsets. I would really trigger or activate their mindsets so that they keep on thinking and answering why this happens. And then at that level, because they are teenagers and adolescents, I develop the need to have goal setting, to have their planning at an early age so that they develop while they know what they are looking at for the future. For the high school leavers, again, developing their reflective mindsets, but that would help them follow through their career development. So again, it is finding what is it that they need, maybe their purpose at that level. So who I need to become, I think for the other first category of young leaders, I would want to become a coach. For the second category, I would want to become a mentor and a counselor, because there is a lot that goes on under teenagers and adolescents. And then at the final, the high school leavers, I would want to become the 3: a mentor, a counselor where possible, and a coach. I think that's all I have to share. I don't know whether I'm on track.
Amazing. That's good. That's a good start. This is quite amazing. You know, as even just to have the daring attempt to have something populated, it's already an achievement. So that's where we begin. Many people, there are times where I have people attend even up to the 5th session. They still have a blank map. So for me, that's already a thumbs up, and it's quite reflecting. And this is quite interesting to begin with. It has a lot of talking points, and I can say it's a good start, if you ask me. Let me. There is somebody who is.
Can I stop sharing?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. That's fine.
No, that's me trying to join in another.
Oh yeah, I was wondering
because I also want to share my map.
Okay. Go ahead, Shamim. Okay. Yeah, I had seen somebody joining, so I wanted to know who is that. That's okay. So go ahead, Shamim.
Okay.
I don't know whether have you already joined? Not yet. Okay. You wanted to share with your laptop or something, eh?
Yes. Just a moment. Let me just log in using my laptop.
That's fine. That's okay. Babla, we are going to come back and kind of now, because that's now what you'll be working on. That's now Cohort version 1. You're going to start with that and then keep on refining it maybe the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
I think you should be okay now, Samuel.
This meeting is being recorded.
I think you can mute one of the logins.
Yes, I've muted one.
Okay, good.
Okay, so just want to share what I put together. It's not as detailed as Barbara's because I still feel aligned to one.
Good start.
Let me see if I can put it. No, it's not going to work. Okay, let me just show it in this format.
What you can do, you can exit share. You pray the slideshow first, then now you share the slide. That's easier.
Okay. All right.
So show the slideshow first, then now you come to Zoom and share. Yeah, now go to the slideshow view. Yes.
Okay, so mine is really one line.
Yep.
Yes, so my convictions, needs in people and the planet.
Yep.
I believe that the people that I need to impact are those who are looking to develop in their careers.
Yep.
The one way that I realized this is through the people that approach me.
Yeah.
At least every day I get not less than 5 to 10 calls, or people looking out for me. Either they have a presentation, they want to develop their confidence, or they have an interview, or they have an application to submit. So it was just too common and frequent that I realized that I think this is part of the reason that I'm here. I can't ignore it because I've held other positions even within my family, within like school leadership. But at least for the last 6 years, every single day, I get at least 5 people checking in on how they can better themselves in their career. So my niche, my impact niche, based on what I've been doing, I know maybe through this I might discover something different, but my impact niche has been HR professionals, because I'm not the only one who's approached. Many other people who are approached are usually in positions of human resource management because they are seen as the kind of people that are meant to help with this area of expertise. Then the level 3, my mission or mandate. How do I impact? So my thought process led me to think I need to inspire mindset and behavior change, because most of the solutions that I give are around those two areas, either behavior or mindset. Mindset to adjust the way you speak, the way you present, or the profile that you have, aligning it. So it's all making them see things from a different perspective. So if I can inspire people to do it on their own, then they wouldn't need to, like that queue of 5 to 10 people would reduce and people would still be impacted through their own discoveries. The mentorship, then level 4, how they change the impact model. I was thinking of mentorship of HR professionals and other leaders, build their capacity to do this. That is inspiring the mindset and behavior change, helping people see things from different perspectives, because I can't do it alone. I believe if everyone who has that position of authority can do that and impact positivity, then I'll be able to support that conviction that I have, that I need to help those people in their career, and not only those who have the courage to reach out to me, but even those who don't have anyone to talk to. The influence that we'll create through this will impact them, it will reach them. Who I need to become, my being. I still believe that speaking has been a great channel through which I can share. So if I can become a better speaker, of course it comes with mentorship and coaching. It's all speaking. If I can improve on that skill, then I believe that I will be closer to achieving that goal, that conviction that I need to fulfill. Thank you.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much again. It's a great attempt. Thank you so much, Shamim. You don't know what it takes as you begin a journey. You know, you might be looking for perfection, but that's not the key. It's more the kickoff. And that kickoff is actually what you guys have done. So I really am happy at least it's something that you've already taken shape on. At least you have a baseline to start now working from. And it's going to give you a very good momentum because there's something we call the law of inertia. To break for the initial effort is usually the hardest thing in life. Just that one step to make this without necessarily judging whether this is the right. No worry, that's okay. So most of the times we often start from a very even not very clear state. That's helpful. So thank you so much. Go ahead, Shami.
No. It's okay.
Okay. Sorry. It's okay. I guess you're having a conversation there. Good. So this is very helpful. I'll just give you some few comments, which is very good, which is just foundational, just to help you self-clean. You'll be cleaning it yourself, not myself. Of course, at one point I'll ask you to share with me, no problem. We are not yet there, but I'll just be giving you some tips just to help you self-reflect on your own map. And it's kind of, you start subjecting them out some few questions on why this, why not this, so what, why this, so what, all those things. That's going to help you clean it up. Hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm very sure. On an average, each one of you will be on version 3 or version 4. Most of the times, that's what happens, or even up to 5. Good. So we are going to begin with the foundation because that's, for me, is usually the biggest starting point. The foundation near pure is the foundation of your convictions. So that's very critical to begin with. Now, I'll go back to the earlier session we had about conviction. I know we recorded that series, so in case maybe you can always go back there. And we talked about convictions to a large extent. The way we defined conviction was that, and are kind of different, not the dictionary meaning and the Wikipedia meaning. No, if you go to the Wikipedia, they are going to tell you conviction is firmly held beliefs. They only stop there. Firmly held beliefs and opinions, but they add those two: firmly held beliefs and opinions. In our conversation, we extend beyond that, because that's still very shallow, because you can have a long belief and you can have a long opinion. So, meaning not every conviction is actually redemptive. I'm sure even the terrorist who is bombing themselves in the middle of the clouds, if you ask them, they'll tell you, I had a conviction, that by doing this is going to happen. So not every conviction is. So there are some those now areas of validation in terms of how you question that conviction. Is this conviction truth? Because we are shaped by so many things in life. The wisdom is always to identify the absolute difference. What's your absolute uniqueness? The absolute difference of you that is so unique to you that is not necessarily picked just because the world is moving that direction, or because of sometimes even education or professional practice or our socialization sometimes can feed into some of those beliefs and opinions. That's why when you're going through this series, yes, where you are born, socialization you have gone through, the experience of life, it will always connect dots later. In life, dots will always connect backwards, no worry. But it's always good now to clean up, that cleanup of where you're trying to clean up and peeling the onion. What is really this unique thing that is within me that is quite different from others? And actually, that's my natural bias. I like, I think it's Babla, one of the part there that you help people to discover their own bias, and their bias can be 2 ways. There's a bias which is good. There's a unique difference in your view and your worldview that is good. But there's also bias which, of course, can make you even probably not be effective in life. Now, so because of that, we then go to our defined narrative of convictions. So this is what is unchanging. It is the truth, that word truth there is absolute. Absolute truth that has been fed in you, or that has been allowed to be sitting in you. You can call it liberation or whatever. That truth that connects with the need in others. So that means others have or require or need that truth. And that truth are not just meaning information and knowledge. No, truth can be so many things. It's like the enlightenment or the truth, the way the Bible tells us we are the light of the world, of course. So there's that truth that is very absolute. So it's founded on absolute truth that is in you, that is addressing needs in others. That's why the conviction is a conviction of the needs in others or in the planet, but in which you are the one who have the conduit or the channel or the catalyst of that need. So you have kind of a redemptive solution to that need. Why am I saying is this? Because God dispenses his grace through us to other people. So if I need encouragement, yes, I can be encouraged directly by God through his Holy Spirit. That's okay. But chances are it's likely to use somebody who will come and somehow become like the dispenser. So they dispense that truth or do that hope or that encouragement. Or it could be enlightenment, or it could be empowerment. So we are usually like carriers. God allows us to be like carriers of his own grace. Whatever you want to do in people, mostly you use men, largely. That's why even Jesus himself had to come through form of man in human form. He could have saved man without having to come and die, having flesh and blood. He could have chosen not to do that. But there's some principles of God that he uses people to dispense his own mandate and his own mission. So how we define our conviction is that truth, which could be from knowledge of truth, that really redeems people from their need, or the planet from their needs. Now, so the validation point here is, what is that truth first? Number two is that truth, or is that truth addressed to a real need? Let me give you an example. If Nelson Mandela existed when there was no apartheid in South Africa, assume there was no apartheid, nobody was discriminating the blacks. Do you know Nelson Mandela's life was just vanity then? In fact, you not have no reason at all to actually live. But because there was apartheid in his age, God had to set somebody during that time who God had filled with convictions and raised consciousness to see and observe. No, I don't think it's only Nelson Mandela who had seen that there was need for revolution. No, I don't think that he's only the one who saw that blacks are being suppressed or they are being oppressed. No, I'm sure there are people who are still oppressed, but they probably didn't think they are the one. So the other aspect of that conviction should be in towards the direction of, yes, I know people need this, but there's another angle. I am the one having that redemptive solution, or call it the intervention, or call it the empowerment. Remember the active ingredient. I am the one having that to fulfill that need. So it's one thing to see the need, but are you the one? That's the question. So it's one thing to see the need. And I'm sure many people see, like now you hear people talking about, hey, there's unemployment. Everybody's talking about unemployment. But there are some selected people who God is going to download some sense of elevated consciousness that they are kind of almost allergic. When you see somebody unemployed, you almost feel, no, it can't happen. And it actually gives you holy anger, discontent. You feel it. I can sacrifice anything for this. That you start seeing, this is a conviction issue now. It's not about even knowledge. So those are some of the things that you validate. First of all, is to check, is it founded on absolute truth? Meaning it's something that is, you can be, you can justify from a very unchanging base. And we say last time that mostly may be the word of God or the instruction of God or something that God has read as a principle. That's very key. So first of all is to test whether the need is founded on some absolute truth. Number two is the element of when you look at your life, you really see that you are the one. Now, if you remember the previous explorations you are doing, there are those things that you are saying, who are the people that you attract? I think I like what Shamim was saying, that every day you find like 5 people in her DMs, you know, asking, and if you journal the things that they are asking, you might almost see, yes, everybody may be looking for let's say they're looking for jobs. But you will find there's a uniqueness. If you profile those people, maybe you start to interrogate them, you may find, yes, a job is just an umbrella. You might find there's something there. Maybe it's confidence. So you now peel the onion that, yes, people who come to me, they have more the needs of, they're looking for a job. But don't settle at that broad level, because everybody may be telling they're looking for a job. You might discover the job is kind of a very placeholder, a very broad placeholder. When you start probing those people through profiling, asking them questions, that's why we have that assignment to keep asking these questions. You might find actually these people even have all the competencies, have all the qualifications. Sometimes they may only be lacking on one thing, maybe confidence, all self-esteem, just to be able to believe in yourself and all that. And maybe that's what now you dispense in them. So your convictions there may be around that people need confidence or to build their self-esteem or identity. You may see it from looking for a job in the service, but may not be the case. Most of the time, it could be that people need self-esteem to build their identity or self-worth. That could be the thing inside. So it is packed in form of jobs. That's what people look for, the very broad things. But when you start digging deeper, you discover actually it's not even the jobs. If you only address the identity, automatically you'll actually find they get their direction. In fact, you don't have to force it. Now that helps you now start peeling the onion to see this is actually where the thing is. If you remember the story of Jesus, if you read the Bible, there's this time that he was going to Jerusalem and they were putting the figs and all these things, and and during that time, Jesus himself had a very clear mandate. You know, I'm coming as a Messiah, as a Savior, to redeem man back to Genesis 2, to take man back to the identity of Genesis 2 after the fall. But people themselves, notice here, and this is very critical for us to help us unwind that aspect of conviction. People themselves, do you know what they came to Jesus with? I don't know whether you have read the story of that encounter. Do you know how they were misinterpreting who Jesus was? They thought he's who? I just want maybe to have a quick feel of whether maybe something that you may have interacted with in the story of Jesus himself. What do you think they were mistaking Jesus to be? What they came to him for, literally, but they were mistaking why he is there, the other way around. But people themselves came to Jesus. It's like the people are coming to your inbox. They were coming to him in one side, and actually that's what he rebuked them. He rebuked them because of that, literally. So if you read that story when he was entering Jerusalem, and this is a big city, and people are waiting. And it's because if you read all the books of prophecy, they kept on being told about a Messiah, a Redeemer, or somebody who is going to come one day. Which even today, if you go to Israel, in the city on the mountain, Jerusalem, the actual pathways they have created, literally physical ones, where they are still expecting a Messiah who will come down there. You know, he will come walking down there. A very interesting thing. And this is the nature of humanity. Now, what them they were expecting, because they were struggling and they have been fought so many years, they saw other Syrians, the Syrian and other communities, other tribes, they were having kings. And from the time of even David, Samuel, and all that, they all kept seeking counsel from what you call the prophets or seers, and they kept on asking them, when is our king coming? Because they felt everybody has a king. Pharaoh, Egypt, they have a king. So Israel, they were mistaken that what they needed was like a president, like a king. So when he was coming to Jerusalem, what do? How do you do when President Museveni is coming to your neighborhood, Barbara, or Shamim, and even our side, dear Ruto. You put a red carpet and you put some nice flowers and you have a kaprawa girl with a bouquet of flowers, eh? Because that's how you receive a president. Now, that's the very thing that Jesus rebuked them. Because when you enter in Jerusalem, do you know what they did? They mistook what they needed with what they wanted. So they wanted a king who will come and fight, because kings that time, you have a king and the king prepare an army, and the army goes on war to fight for you, so that you can claim more land and expand your territory. That was the nature of even during the Greeks and the Roman Empire, and even today, even what we have in this Western civilization, is about the aspect of advancing their territories. They are trying to expand the territory to Africa and others. You know, it's a human pursuit. So they mistook him to be a king, like more of another president who is coming to fight for them. For when he looked at them, he felt, the Bible records, he felt compassion. In Swahili, we say, aliwahurumia. He felt compassion on them. He felt mercy and compassion when he looked at them. You guys are expecting a president. I am not a president. I came as a Messiah to redeem you. But you are mistaking me as another president who will come and clown. That's why they were putting some other things to put him and ride on a donkey, other things and all that, just to the way you celebrate a king, to what you call the royal treat. They were mistaking him for that. But did they need a president? No. What they needed is a redeemer, because that's what he came to be, an atonement for them, to take them back to God himself, to reconcile them back to the Father, who is God himself, because God himself is already their king. So they were thinking they don't have a king. They already have a king. But now they are mistaken that, oh, this has come to be our politician who will come and put nice constitution and nice policies to fight for us and help us conquer. That's what they were thinking. Now, I wanted to use that story to illustrate sometimes people may come to us with some needs, but in their context, it's actually not what they want. That's not exactly what they need, not want. That's not exactly what they need. It takes a bit of discernment to see that people and say, you guys, actually, it's not a job you need. You need self-esteem. You need confidence. It takes a lot of discernment now to real conviction around that actually these people, in fact, I keep saying, most of the time, the things that people manifest as needs, they are not needs. Sometimes it's their own biased way of looking at the situation. I say, I think if I got a better relationship, maybe it's not relationships you require. You need a bit of social awareness and some other things. Out of it, you will get right relationships, So that usually is very critical to discern. It will help you now start cleaning up that the needs in the people should be the real absolute needs. Not, like, for example, the needs that people think that's what they want, but it's what they really need. So there's what people want, what they think they want, and there's people what they want really, what they need, sorry, I'm confusing the terms. There's what people think they want, but there's actually what they need. Your convictions should be on what they need, not what they want. So people may come, and that's how even politicians play around with that. That's what people want, they want tax waivers to pay less tax, they want, all those things that people want. But maybe that's not what they need. They need something else that is more, a bit long-lasting, that is more impactful, because sometimes if you give people what they want, and they were not ready for that, it is still not fulfilling their need. That's one of the conversations to have with yourself as you validate the aspect of convictions. Make sure the convictions are attached to the absolute needs, not necessarily what people are demanding from you. What they may asking you for may not actually what they need. So try to peel the onion. When they ask you for something, that's a very good starting point. But start probing and identify the pattern of those people who are asking you. Even many people make you phone calls, maybe they ask you, and especially for us who are in HR, I know I receive hundreds of emails, typically in a month, from people who look at your profile and say, oh, it's like you're looking, you can connect them with the job. They are seeing you speaking in HR conferences, workshops, CEO forums. So they think, you carry all the jobs that I need. So you have all these DMs, so many. But when I take some time to pause and say, you are looking for a promotion, you are looking for a new to shift from one industry from another, you get all these manner of diversities. There are those who are freshers who are looking for their first job. There are many. In my side, it is very clear when I journal most of those people and I have a conversation with them. Okay, yeah, I can see you're looking for a promotion. You've been in this job for 10 years. Okay, good. I feel that 10 years must have been very, very ruining in your life in terms of thinking that you're stagnating, you're not making any progress, you are invested with yourself, you have done several professional certifications. You have a conversation with them and I'm asking them, I can imagine how it has been. Let's take a pause and try to peel the onion around this. So how much investment have you made in your life? They'll tell me how much they have studied, all the things they have done. Hey, okay. How is the quality of your net worth and your network? They'll tell me, yeah, I belong to this association and then these two groups and all that. Hey, good. What kind of your view and mindset towards growth? Why must you grow? Why do you need that growth? We start peeling the onion. That's mostly like a coaching conversation. People who are attracted to me, anytime we peel that onion, yes, for those who are telling me they are stuck, we always end up seeing they need a growth mindset, not a promotion. So at the bottom of what they came kind of camouflaged. My boss has been not promoting me. My CEO has never considered me. I applied for this. No. Yes, that's what they think they want. But in me, I can't give you promotion anyway. That's purely your organization. Why you are attracted to me is because I know, and I'll show you one of my top 5, 6 convictions. I have a conviction around growth. I think I told you at one time in one of my initial sessions, I say, when I see somebody stagnant, you've been in the same position you are last year but one, it actually almost makes me feel nausea. I'm nauseatic about stagnation. And it's because I believe that whatever has life must grow. So when people are coming to me, they may come to me telling me they have not been promoted, they deserve to be the next you. In fact, I'm dealing with a case right now where there is a reaction in one of the biggest media companies, and there's one senior director there who feel should have been the CEO. He's been as a chief, a C-level, but to them they feel, why are you hiring another CEO from outside? I am already this, I should be. And because one time he was acting as an acting CEO. Now, this person, when you're having that conversation, it actually is nothing to do with that promotion. The person has a very limited thinking in terms of the growth mindset, even the why she wants to become that CEO. And when you start peeling the onion, actually starts, by the way, I think I was not very ready. I was just overreacting because I felt I have served here for many years. I have a cross-functional visibility of all the business, all the functions in the business. So I felt I'm entitled. But that's a very wrong mindset. You're not entitled. That's a very wrong mindset. So when we peel the onion, you discover actually this guy is nothing to do with all those elements. That's what they think they want a promotion. No. What they are lacking and why they are attracted to me is the growth mindset. When I peel that onion, I discover actually, on my own conviction journal, I have a conviction around anything that has life must grow. Something so consistent with me. And I'm always attracted to people who literally come to me looking for growth, but maybe they have the long perception about that growth. That's why I become the redemptive connector. They were not coming to me to get promoted. I can't promote them, first of all, because they are not in my organization. So when they are coming to me, even for jobs, I can't give them the job. I don't hold the job. The job belongs, there are employers out there who have the jobs. But why they are coming to me is because maybe I need to transform their thinking on the area of growth mindset or on the area of purpose, because they need to answer the question of why must be you the CEO? Why do you need this job? So my area is like a clinic I'm learning, the way doctors have a clinic. My clinic is because I have had conviction around growth and the purpose-led convictions. That's what will be attracted to me. So I should not mistake them that what they want and what they ask from me, they ask, you can't look for me a job. I tell them, let's take a pause ahead. Why you came to me, it's not a job. Me or for me, I don't have any jobs. I know I can make reference, no problem. But that's not why you're coming to me. You have not understood me. Maybe you don't know why my connection is redemptive. It's like that story of Jesus and the Jews in the Egyptian. They were expecting to crown a president and put him in the state house. Jesus is looking at them and saying, do you know, you guys, who I am? You have already had kings before. You had David. Did you get what you wanted? You had Solomon, who had all the wisdom. Did you get to achieve? You had prophets. You had all those kings, Akina Deborah, the judges. Did they help you? No, I'm not coming as one of them. I'm coming now as a Messiah who actually come and atone your sin as a one sacrifice that do not require any other, one atonement. But then they are not seeing that. Then they are describing their situation. They are comparing themselves. Other countries, Syria has a king, the other side has a king. They are comparing themselves and say, even us, we need our own president who should fight for us. And, that's what people are looking for. But Jesus himself, having born in that state, he knew they have already been having kings before. Some of the people coming to you are coming from other jobs anyway. So what will make the new job they are going to get different? So they'll come to you today, to Barbara, and they probably, in your own connections, they get a job. Or they get promoted. Can I guess you? The next 2 years, the same people will be so corporate. They'll be complaining of the same jobs they came to you for. And they'll tell you, now, this job by God's will, what? If you take them back 2 years ago, you ask them, but you had a job 2 years ago, you are looking for a job. Has the blessing become your struggle now again? The blessing become again your thorn in flesh? It is because there's what people want, but there's what they need. So I hope I'm communicating something around how you start. It's a way of cleaning. You start with what you already stated. That's very good. You start from there. Now you start cleaning up. By the way, is this a conviction? Is it founded on a need, really? Or are people what people want? It's what people want. Or what people want may not necessarily be literally what they need. Then I would encourage also, I use Bible for me references. If you can pick a principle from the Bible that is attached to that thing, it's very critical. Because why that is important is because that one is very consistent, meaning it is unchanging. Because when you found it on a principle that is unchanging, it will make it uncertain. Remember we talked about legacy later, and I know we are going to have that session later again for legacy. To have something that will outlive you, it must be founded on absolute truth. Now look at even that Jesus story. Did humanity require redemption? Yes, because human beings separated from their maker, from God in Genesis 3, as we read the creation story. So there's a transgenerational issue here that they needed one of those. During COVID, there is that time when we were taking those vaccines, and there was a one dose, there are booster jabs, I don't know what all those things. So God knew these people require one jab. They have already been going through so many kings, but those kings were not messiahs. They were just kings. They were to come and put system and structures of governance to manage their state houses and all that. But that's not what human being lost in Genesis 3, sorry. What human being lost that time was fellowship with God. So Jesus had to come with that Messiah who come and provide that. Nelson Mandela had to come for a real absolute need, because the violation of what you call human rights in South Africa was gross. It was getting into another direction. Probably by now, human extinction would have been evidence there. Where maybe there would have been no black South Africans probably by now. So there was a real absolute need, not a want. The issue of apartheid is, even today, it has not yet finished. I know that. You travel to South Africa, and sometimes you still feel, yes, Nelson Mandela was good and started a revolution, but the people who need to continue the revolution. We know that, because even right now, we know it's not yet done. People are not free 100%. There's a lot of still a bit of hidden now in a new dispensation. So what happens is that when you understand that the need is real need, automatically your conviction becomes transcendent. It is actually something you become lifetime. It won't end tomorrow. Because if it is not based on that, what happens is that then it might be a very short-lived conviction, where you have a conviction, then 10 years to come, it is no longer there. So what happens is that your life then take another direction. And that's not purpose then, because purpose is attached to your life. So there's something that you build a certain lifetime past with that you're actually not changing. It's going actually to be almost your life. Your lifetime is going to be anchored on some of those convictions. Not all of them, but some of those convictions are going to form the foundation of the entire life. So I hope I've helped you to just, it's a way of just thinking through, especially that part for convictions. It's usually the most hard and difficult element. That's why it's always good when you're doing it, you do it in prayer. Take some time and reflect. Go through the previous dictionary of all the refractions. Like what gives somebody gives, if you remember the questions you were asking us, I think there were almost 11 questions, if you remember. Like there's a question of what gives you holy anger? That exploration was to help you create resources for this conviction now. Because mostly it is the conviction in you that make you react to situations. It makes you actually feel you can bang the table and say, this cannot happen at my watch. Or you watch news and you're like, why is the government not doing this? And I'm the one. And you're not blaming anybody. When you have that conviction, you notice when it agitates you, chances are you may not necessarily blame somebody. You actually take a responsibility. Feel, I wish I was in that position. You find some food cooked badly. I'm just giving you a layman example. And you go in a meal or a feast somewhere and you eat food and you're like, no, this should not have been the mix of this food. Why do you mix cabbage and this and this and this together? And you feel angry actually. But you feel and you put yourself in the state of, if I was the one in the state of this food could have been different. And it leaves you a certain debt. You feel like a debt. No, this should have been done differently. And I take a responsibility. Maybe I could have mentored this chef to do it better. You know, that kind of a thing is almost, those are pointers. They are pointing to you that you have something in you that actually you need to release. That's a conviction now. So it will give you a holy discontent, a holy anger, but where you actually put yourself like the sacrifice of redemption. That is one indicator of a conviction. So because in you already you know what should be. That's why you're being agitated, because the knowledge of the truth in you is reacting to a reality that is not aligned to the knowledge in you. That's why light and darkness will never be in the same place. If you remember, we told you are the light of the world, they will never be the same, because when the light comes, darkness disappears. So there are places where you find yourself, and when you, as long as Shamim is there, that darkness has to disappear, because you hold the truth or the light, and that forms your convictions. So you hear people say, I hate this organization. So you find yourself where if you go into a place where things are not organized, you feel nausea. You feel like, oh, why can't you do things in a plan? You should have sent me a plan. I am not a very good person in setting up some prior agendas. I tell you, we are going to, I try, but you know, I have kind of gotten an extra grace to do that. But there are people who naturally, they know what will happen next month. And already by now, they're telling you, 8 to 10, we are going to do this. 8:15, they're already planning. They are so, and when that doesn't happen, that person is offended. Why did you have this list of to do things and the plan and the resources required? And they feel like if it's not done in that way, they feel uncomfortable, they feel angry, but to an extent where they take responsibility for that. That's a very, very clear indicator. Inside you, you have a certain conviction about order, about excellence, about diligence. So there are people who will come to your life only for you to allow them to have a diligence mindset. The people who come to you to give them a certain frame of order that you need to order your life. Things are learning all over. You need to have order. So they may come to you looking for other things, but inside you, you are not that giver. You are another dispenser. You are a diligence dispenser. You are like a dispenser who dispense water now, but that water could be diligence, could be whatever. So your conviction mostly will be founded on that now. That you have a conviction, there has to be diligence and skillfulness in doing something. There are people who hate mediocrity. I know I have that bit a little bit, but it's not very strong. But I know that people who they hate mediocrity. Every dot has to be dotted and T has to be, T'd. And these people, if I'm talking to that person, chances are inside them, they have a conviction about things should be done right, in excellence, with diligence, with preciseness, with skillfulness. Notice that could be a need now, because not everybody has all that. No. But God has allowed you to have that as the truth in you, and other people need it, so you become the person who characterizes them to achieve that. Now, how do you make that founded on something that is absolute? This is why it's always good to begin now, especially with the Word of God. If you read the Bible, of course, it has so many ways. When God created the universe, what are we told? He looked back and see all that which created, and it was good. If you read other transcriptions, that would mean excellence. So maybe in you are actually trying to manifest and express God's character of excellence. There are also models. Look at David. I think there's also there are people we call Oholiab and Bezalel in the book of Exodus, who God kind of appointed to support Moses to build the tabernacle. And I think in Exodus, I think 30 or thereabout, the Bible records that there are people who are skillful in all manner of craftsmanship, who God appointed to support Moses. It could be your conviction is because you have read the Bible or you know the truth, and that truth, if at all God used these people during the time of Moses, he has not stopped using them. Now look at David also. David, we are told in several scriptures that he served with all manner of diligence and integrity of heart. Maybe that's the reason why today you could probably have already known that truth. The reason why that truth it is set you free, that you have to set others free. I hope you see where I'm coming from. I'm coming from, there must be some certain foundations where your conviction is founded from, so that then it can stand the test of time. This is where now having knowledge of the Word of God is very important, or the principles of nature, which still is the Word of God. You know, the people who now will say, me, I want to believe in scientific laws of physics and all that. There are some laws of science, God in his own way and his own wisdom. Even people who don't believe in him, because I interact with so many of them, even in my coaching. There's something that is already consistent. You'll find they also are upholding some principles of life. That somebody will come and say, me, I believe in the role of cause effect. So they believe that for every effect, there's a cause. And it's true. We call it consequential reality. All what you see as reality has a cause somewhere. There must have been a cause. So they'll come with a scientific mindset. And when I coach, especially Papa's Red coaches now, to coach you to be able to coach others, I have to empower you to know how to deal with some of those situations, because they can actually throw you off. You get a scientist who come with a very scientific ideology. If you don't know how to handle some of those situations, can throw you off. So I'll come and tell them, okay, I agree there is law of cause and effect. And I ask them, why do you think that law works? Why does it work? What is forced behind this? And it's not that conversation. Do you know later we still discover it's actually a biblical law? If you read the book of Genesis, it actually talks about, and even Ecclesiastes, it talks about there's a season for everything. Then in Genesis, it talks about as long as the heaven and the earth persist or endures, the season of harvest, a seed time and harvest never cease. What is that? There's time for seed and the harvest. So you discover them, they are coming with a scientific ideology, or what you call philosophical. But when you study the Bible so well, you actually discover all those rules of even physics, including gravity. There's a way it has its source still within the Bible, but they deny it anyway. And it's okay, we respect their own ideology. But it's always good to be empowered with all that. Even the scientific laws, most of them are actually founded on the Bible. Only that people do sometimes don't have the light mystery for that. So I would encourage you that, yes, you can start with a philosophical law that you are anchoring your conviction on, but test whether that also is founded in God's agenda, in God's manifesto, because God's manifesto will always kind of prevail across everything else. That maybe I can share with you some of my, like say, convictions that actually has formed my life to a large extent. For example, I think I've repeated some of these. One is I have a conviction that life has a meaning and a day to fulfill when you're here on earth. And one of the things I hate, this is like the other side of that statement. I hate something we call missional pilgrimage. I don't not hate, but I hate something we call victim pilgrimage, not missional. Victim pilgrimage. I will explain what that means so that you get where I'm coming from. I hate what you call victim pilgrimage, and I advocate what we call missional pilgrimage. I will explain those terminologies. It's one of my convictions. I have around 5 of them. So I believe, and I have a strong conviction that every life has a meaning attached to it. So when I see even a street child, I know this one has a certain mission, a purpose, and a destiny. Through that street boy or a street girl, there could be a family that is going to start who will be the next governor or mayor of the city. You never know. So when I look at the sacredness and the sanctity of life, I view it from that angle. And that has made me, of course, be able to respect humanity in whichever nature it is. So when I see human beings, I see the singularity of one person is a multiplication of a generation and nations to come. What do I mean? When I see Shamim as a seed. I see Barbara as a seed. Behind you, do you know there can be a movement of 1 million people? Yes. And that has made me be very careful. Anything I'm doing that is purpose-led, I'm more interested with one human being, not 2, 1. So if I get just that one, I know out of the one, I can be able to bring out a whole movement and a whole evolution. That's what you might find I'm very keen about. I don't follow things like quorums. Oh, I need a quorum of 20. I can assure you this, because I learned some other premier programs. These are more the other programs where you paid for. I'm doing that purely for money. I have so many programs for money. Like I'll do strategy workshops. I'll do data analytics workshops. I can bet you this. Those workshops are very pricey. Number 2, there's a quorum. The session I will say, if it's not this number, don't call me. And I'm very hard on that. So you may find I'm very soft on anything to do with the purpose. Very soft on it. But when they have to do with other things, you invite me to come and strategy workshops, I learn a balance scorecard, I can assure you, I'll tell you, I need a quorum of 30, 40, 50. And I'm hard on that because for me, that's not a priority. Yes, I'm good in it and I'm an expert in it, but in terms of my life, I know where my priorities are. So I'll spend even sometimes doing things for free at the expense of a very premier thing that I could have been doing that I'll be paid millions of money. Why? Because I believe that human beings should have a mission. So life has a meaning. So if I'm in a convention where there's a talk about purpose and meaning, it will be my priority. Now, why do I hate victim pilgrimage? It is because of this. And especially for people who are faith, the people who are faith people who are spiritual. There's this tendency to think like you're here on earth to suffer, go through beatings, get all the, miserable experiences in life. And then you are in the process of going to heaven. I know that may sound a bit very crude. There are people who are only interested in heaven. And I'm telling you where that will come from. Meaning, they are not conscious on what they are supposed to do here on earth before they go to the heaven. They are busy going to heaven only. But they don't care on the accountability of how will their life count here on earth. Were you born so that you go to heaven? You already came from heaven. But you came here for a mission. Then at the end of the mission, you can now, of course, go and rest, with our maker. That is what I advocate for. That as long as you're a human being here, don't tell me that you are so much attached to the nostalgia of heaven, you forget you are here for a reason. I believe in heaven also. But as long as I'm here, there's an accountability. So the people I call victim pilgrimage are people who they don't want to be held accountable of how their life contributed here on earth. They only want to wait until they go to heaven for that account. That's what you call, I hate, whenever in a conversation where I find people, they are so much attached to heaven that they are not accountable to what they are doing. How did your life count here on earth before we go to heaven? We are not struggling about conception of heaven. I know heaven is there, and we are all going to go there if you obey God. No doubt with that. But can we ask ourselves, the 50 years God will give you on earth, account for it? Now that is what we call missional pilgrimage. So there's victim pilgrimage, which I hate, but I have a conviction about missional pilgrimage. Attaching your life for something you can die for, here on earth, not in heaven, here on earth, before you go to heaven. Notice that is a conviction that I have a lot of biblical references now. Why? Because the same Bible, Ephesians 2:10, talks about that we are created in Christ Jesus, who of course is our fabric of creation, to do good things that were predestined for us before creation. So if you read my purpose map, I have put even the Bible verse there. I hate victim pilgrimage, and I give you Bible references. That when I read the Bible, there is truth in me about intentional living. I already gave you some of those scriptures we read during the introduction class, like the one that talks about David. And David, after serving his purpose in his generation. So I believe that everybody has something to serve in your generation. Then he saw the king. So on one conviction about missional pilgrimage, I have approximately 5 Bible verses that actually is absolute truth, because that has lived for the last 2,000 years. So if something has existed for the last 2,000 years, that must be an absolute truth. So you may not see what I'm trying to point to here is that you also try to attach your conviction to a bit of a very absolute knowledge or truth, mostly maybe founded either on the word of God, of course, that for me will be the absolute, but it can also be attached to what you call the natural universal principles. Like those that are talking about the role of cause and effect, the consequential reality. None of those are rules. But people will not tell you those rules actually are biblical. It's the Bible which says that whatever you sow, you are going to harvest. So you may be the person who is saying, my conviction is that you'll be accountable to what you do. Take care of your behavior, your actions. They are going to bear fruits later. And maybe your life is attached to now that where you're busy helping people raise their consciousness about the issue of law and cause effect, the issue of consequences, that for everything there'll be consequences. Maybe that's why maybe you're doing what you're doing, just an example. But when you dig deep, there's a foundation of why you are doing that. There's an absolute truth that is there. It could be a natural law, or what we call the laws of nature, or universal principles, but chances are they are also founded on Bible. So I usually use the universal rules and the rules of nature, universal principles, especially for people who they are still not yet convinced the Bible is the source of truth. So it's okay, let's talk about that. But in my thinking, I know some of the things that they're going to tell me about the rules that their principles is founded on is still actually on the same rules of God. I hope that is clear. Maybe I'll post just for some reactions. I hope that helps you kind of start sedimenting. It's a way of moving through some iterative and go through like 5-7 times. I want to give you on average 5-7 times. Recritique the conviction 7 times. You slowly start getting them converge into a specific consistent pattern. I hope that I'll share with you my second conviction. I hope maybe that helps you a bit. And we can spend more time on the conviction. The others I know are going to come out very clearly. But the conviction, we can spend a lot of time there. But once we get that foundation right, everything else is going to flow. Let me give you my second conviction. Then I'm going to touch on some of what you have shared with me. We can discuss now and brainstorm together. My second conviction is this. I said I have 5. I've shared one, the issue of missional pilgrimage. The second one is there is God's responsibility and there is man's or human accountability. Or I can also coin it like this. There's God's will, which is God's part, and there's human responsibility also. For those who may have followed me a lot, maybe for my social media, especially Facebook side, sometimes reading about Facebook, I think I pour out a lot of things there. There's a series, sometimes there's a hashtag I drive a lot called self-sabotage or victim mindset. If I'm to journal my life, those things I have given you to journal, like the things you hate, holy anger, some of the things that also give me nausea is victim mindset. People who keep on, they are blaming somebody else, they are giving excuses, even including people who tell you, I'm praying about it. Sometimes that prayer is an escape of responsibility, most of the times. Because there are people who pray, but they don't want to take an actual responsibility. So God has allowed me also to push people to take personal, and that's why purpose journey, you have to reach a place where you take personal responsibility. There are people who keep on blaming and waiting for something to happen from the bruise or from the sky or from the heavens, and themselves don't want to do anything. So you ask somebody, so you've been in these toxic relationships. Okay, so I'm sorry for that, and I can imagine that's been very dilapidating and all that. So what are you doing about it? I'm still praying. And I'm like, okay, since when have you been praying? Yes, I've been praying for the last 2 years. Good, continue praying. In fact, prayer is lifetime. Keep praying every day, every minute, no worry. But what responsibility have you taken? Nothing. You know, I feel, wait a minute, there's not something that you are supposed to be held accountable yourself. You have no account in that situation. No, there's something wrong somewhere. Why? I believe that there's God's will, but there's human responsibility. It's my second conviction. And it's very consistent in my life. So every time I always try to push people towards what is your personal responsibility in this matter. Yes, tell me about God's whatever. That's okay. You're praying, no worry. Hey, no problem. Let's later converge in taking personal accountability and personal responsibility of your life. Now, where is that coming from? So that's my conviction. But where is it coming from? It has a biblical reference. Actually, I have done, I think I've also posted one time, I can't remember when, but it's many years back. I posted about that item, and I had around 17 Bible illustrations about God's will and man's responsibility. The most one that I repeat everywhere is Genesis 2:5. And there are so many others, of course, that I have been able to walk through. Genesis 2:5 says this. Now, when God created the universe, and you know the creation story, God created the universe and he saw it was good. But then that's Genesis 1. In Genesis 2, Moses, in his own inspiration of writing the Bible, the word of God again, he kind of gives us a more deeper exposition of what was happening behind the back end, what was happening behind the scene. So in Genesis 2:5, he gives a certain illustration. So I have this condition that people, there's a responsibility of human being and the responsibility of God himself, of course. He is the author of everything, so he has a responsibility over everything. But he has also put man also to have their own responsibility. So if I to journal also those other, especially the ones I told you to kind of reflect on earlier, the dictionary of explorations of things you hate, the things of fulfillment, all those things that you're doing before. One of the things that give me already discounted people who really try to escape responsibility. They want either to draw it's somebody else to blame. I'm suffering because somebody else did. Or I'm going through this situation because somebody else did so and so, did this and this and this. You know that? We call it the victim mindset, or what you call self-sabotage. And I've done a lot of content, especially online, about the same. It's because that conviction is not just a knowledge issue. It is also founded on the Bible. And I have so many. Anytime I read the word of God, sometimes I used to do Genesis to Revelation. It is very consistent. Okay. So one of the things is that I kind of have this revelation from the Bible that there are so many scriptures that God is working with men to execute his mandate. Genesis 2:5 says that when creation was done, there was no shrub in the garden. That's number one. Then he explains and say why. He says because there was no rain. God had not sent rain. No, rain means he had not sent rains to be able to wet the ground so that vegetation can come out. That part is God's responsibility to bring rain. It's not our responsibility to bring rain. But it has a second verse there that says, there was no rain and there was no man to work in the garden. So God withheld vegetation because there was no worker. It's like if you have a garden and you do farming, you say, I won't bring these cows because there's nobody to shepherd them. That's kind of a thinking. So God himself already is actually now spelling out a principle that anything that happens here on earth, he has the overall mandate, but he has entrusted man to steward it. What does that mean then? We have to take responsibility. If you have listened to me when I do, especially when I do career talks, one of the things that I usually do is that I don't talk about jobs. People don't need jobs. And it's a principle that is drawn from that biblical context. God never created jobs. Jobs are human creation in the Industrial Revolution. The second Industrial Revolution is when things called jobs started. God created work. And there's difference between work and jobs. Jobs are for survival, to earn a living, get a pay. Those are jobs. But you can find work inside a job, and that's purpose now. So work and purpose are almost the same thing. That's what God created. He never created jobs, he created work. Now, that's a conviction I have. And it brings a lot of difference when people come to me with a certain mindset that I'm still expecting God to bless me as a job. I tell them, you don't need a job. Oh, I need to live and need to survive. I tell them, you don't need a job. What you need is work. Go and find work to do. When you get work to do, it can come, you can call it job, but job is very, very temporary. It's for temporary survival. But work is very missional. So that's a conviction I have within myself. Somebody else doesn't have to have that conviction. But people who are drawn to me will find they may have that sense of alignment that they require to be provoked on that truth. Because the truth in me, and that truth in me, I need to bounce like this. The guy who was telling me who wanted to become a CEO is looking at the CEO as a position, a job. And I'm asking, why must be a CEO? You know, when I become a CEO, I'm going to influence. I tell them, are you not able to influence? Already you are a chief, an executive. What do you need that to be different when you're a CEO? Or is it just a title, the corner office? You can still do exactly what you would have done. That is work when you're still a chief without being even when you're a manager. You don't need to be called a CEO. And that changes the whole mindset. Why? In me, I have the conviction of God's responsibility and man's accountability also. So God has a will, but he has also entrusted the man. You have to take responsibility of what God had entrusted you. Read the story of the talents. Jesus gave a parable and says these gentlemen who are given, one was given 5 talents, another one was given 2 talents, another was given 1 talent. Then the master went, came back later, and found the guy who had 5 has already reproduced to 10. The guy who had 2 had already reproduced to 4. Excellent guys, faithful workers, and when commended them. The guy who had 1 went and buried it in the sand. And when the master came, he was telling the master, you know, you are a master who deserve according, and therefore I thought I want to preserve this for you so that when you come, I give it back to you. You know, it looks like a good thing. I'm preserving it for you. Escaping responsibility. Why would a master entrust you with treasure? For nothing? How are you utilizing that treasure? It's a human responsibility. The master responsibility was to give you because he's the giver. He gave you the gift. He gave you the treasure. But utilizing that treasure, multiplying it, advancing it, it is your responsibility. Now, that is my second conviction. So, and I can tell you so many things I do because of that conviction. Because those convictions informs many things. I may not tell people upfront about them, But behind the scene, if you know Gabriel, you'll actually see the fingerprint of, or what I do, you'll see the fingerprint of those elements somewhere. I mean, you take it personal responsibility. When I'm coaching HR people, I tell them, why are you not influencing as a CEO? You should actually be the one going to the boardroom and challenge it, because you have to take individual. So it will manifest even in the professional arena, but it is informed in the back end by a conviction in me. Everybody should take their own responsibility. I'll share with you those two only, and I've given you some of the biblical context. All of them are founded on something. They are not just nice wishes. They must be founded on either a natural law, universal principles, but at the end of the day, should be consistent with God's law, what you call the word of God generally. So when you anchor yourself around that, you find actually that is something I can propagate for lifetime, because purpose is lifetime. It has no expiry. So it's something that will trust. It can change forms and shapes, but it's going to be propelled throughout your life for the rest of your 100 years, if God bless you to live 100 years. It doesn't stop until as long as you're here on earth. So there are more lifetime convictions. Good. So I don't know how we can engage now into yours. I thought I'll just give you some, that as a validation. You go and refine again, and you come back again. So let's maybe just check some of your maps, and you only deal with the confusion part. The rest we can deal with them maybe next Saturday. So Barbara, I can see, yes, people need to discover their goals, values, passion, biases, emotions, weaknesses, and strength. That's more of a self-awareness aspect. Very brilliant. That's a very nice one. People need to discover themselves and all that. That's good. So probably you can apply now some of the principles I was talking about to converge into what exactly is the need, not what they want. What exactly is the need there? Is it the need of self-worth? Is it a need of identity? Is it a need of just self-account, just keeping a self-account, an inventory about yourself. And then you've already now using all the other concepts. What is the truth? Why should they do that? Why do they need that? What's that truth? If that is founded now by a certain either universal law, natural law, or principles of life that are very consistent, that have been proven over ages, or a truth in the word of God, which will always be the case. Most of all those principles you talk about, you may quote some philosophers, you may quote some scientists, that's okay. But you actually may later discover even those scientists, they're actually just manifesting the download of God's wisdom, but they deny him. That's purely what they do. They're only denying him. Yeah. Like, for example, I'll give you an example of somebody I was coaching who is very keen on networking. You know, maybe somebody, even maybe you have listened to that person. She's very vocal online. He's a key catalyst of networking. Anywhere it goes like this, you have to network people. Remember, you're going through a small session, and almost this aspect, why are you doing what you do? What's the conviction around it? It's not very strong biblically, not necessarily per se, but quite religious, but quite not that much deep. So he says, we are all connected at the hip. You know, there's that statement, you say, we are all joined at the hip. You know, maybe you have heard that statement. We are all joined at the hip. There's that statement where you're saying, we are all connected at the hip. It's like, well, we are one universal whole, one universal organ. Like we have an organism that has hearts, that has the nose, the ear, the eyes, mouth, So he said humanity is an organism. It's connected. So we need to connect so that we can get the warmth and synergy. We call it synergy in corporate space. We leverage synergy. Then he says, even science has something we call the role of entanglement. Perfect. So when he said that, of course, I knew automatically where he's heading, because I know the role of physics, what you call the entanglement, actually, which says that every creation itself is entangled in one, meaning that we are connected even to animals, we are connected to the mountains, to the rock. There's that certain scientific thing that actually try to drive that. Every material world is joined at the hip. That's why, like Indians, will believe in reincarnation. Today you die, tomorrow you realize as a cow, tomorrow as a cat. So, there's that aspect there. It's a scientific angle. but it's misused in a certain way. So he mentioned that. I say, so you believe in the role of entanglement. I also know it. I believe in that. No. Later on, actually, we convert that principle in the Bible. And I was very shocked in terms of seeing that even the Bible itself advocates for oneness, advocates for unity. Even the last prayer in John, the book of John, says that I shall know that your mind if you shall be one. What does that mean? You shall be one. You shall be united. You shall have connection. And there are many others that actually talks about that. So they may call it different. You may have different, especially because of our profession. Our profession sometimes has made us not get to interact with the real absolute truth. Because sometimes we are taught in our MBA classes some philosophies, ideologies, and we just leave them and we quote the philosophers themselves, according to Aristotle, according to Plato, according to human. But when you dig deep, you may discover even those which things that they have put in as a human ideology or theory, if you start critiquing it, it may not be true 100%, but you may find it may have some pointer towards an absolute truth somewhere. So when you discover that, it will make your conviction become more solid, more anchored, meaning it can coexist eternity. Even after your generation, that law is likely to be consistent. That helps you generate a lifetime commitment. It's a and not just a lifetime, it's going to transcend beauty. So I think on that, first one is very key. I can understand that people need that self-discovery, have goals, values, passion, biases, emotions, very perfect. Try to dig it deeper, just try to unpack that along the way in terms of what exactly is the need here and the foundation of it. So you may find maybe you may end up only having one or two of those. You may not say everything. You may say, I think people just need to focus on, they need to identify and classify their emotions. So you may start now zeroing and say, I think it's not everything in me. Yes, they need it, but in me, where I'm the one to help them, maybe it's the emotional side. You never know. But it can also be 3 or 4 of them, no worry. Let me go to the second one. Build confidence, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. I love that. Okay, I love that. So try to again unpack it using some of those things I was calling the validations. What is the absolute truth for self-awareness? What is the truth around emotional intelligence? Try to dig that to see what is the truth in it there. Why self-awareness? Why emotional intelligence? Why build confidence? No. Try to dig that aspect. You'll find in it, you may find just like a one thing that actually is the core. And that become the light or become the truth that actually is what is convicting you literally. So
Now,
go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. The confusion in my mind right now is that what might be true for one might not be true for the other. So how do you now draw them together? Because in my thinking, the general need would be unlocking their mind.
Yes.
So they may have
different
reasons,
needs. No problem. No problem. You will actually, when you go to the niche, is when you actually discover you are not called for all of them. You are not called for everybody. And you'll find like, let me just for the sake of that, let me share something. Let me jump to the niche area because I know I could have done this next time, but let me give you a certain quick so that you see where things will start converging to. Personally, I have six. Let me call them. I have 6 people I impact. If you like, you can call them 6 need areas. Let's look at them. You see where this goes, and it will help you out in prioritization. Because in the initial, you might want kind of almost to address everything. But along the way, you may find actually you're not necessarily so effective in everything. I have 6 people that I have special grace for. This is me as Gabriel. Number 1, people in transition. And the role here can be the transition from employment to business, or the other way around, from business to employment, or they are changing status in their life. No, people in transition for me, I have, or they may not even transition, that they are planning transition. I would always attract these people. And not just attract, You can notice the grid below there, which I'm going to train you later, because we are still building up this. When you go to the niche, I'll give you some principles there. You classify in form of very high impact, or middle, maybe if you like, and moderate. You might find you can have 10 people who come to you for support, but you may discover there's a certain pattern, and that's why I told you to make sure you journal your account a lot. Most of the time, you lose a lot of big data there. If you take 10 people, Shamim, you have helped very well. In whatever you do, even when you're not so clear about how you impact them, don't worry, you'll discover along the way. If you take those 10, and then you are journaling them and say, okay, I know I have helped you navigate through your life, whatever area. Maybe one person you help them in the emotional side, another person you help them in the creating a value system, another person, whatever, because you may have interacted with them differently. And you start kind of have a criteria, and I'll give you later, some aspects where you can calibrate high impact, very high impact. That's a complete transformation. Very high impact is where there's a complete transformation of both who the people have become and how they do. Remember, we had the 3 realms where there is the achieving, the doing, and the becoming. So the very high impact is where, by your impact, you transform who they become, what they do, and what they achieve at the same time. That one you can classify as a very high impact. Now, there's another one we call high impact, or kind of could be mid-layer. It's where most of the times it may be more to do with maybe a little bit of what they are doing. Like somebody wanted to complete a certain assignment, just complete a certain assignment. They may not even have changed themselves, maybe a small extent. But maybe you have helped somebody finish their MBA, complete an assignment, finish their probationary period. You know, that is just doing. So if the impact is around the doing and a little bit of the becoming, then that can be a high impact. But you may find where you enable somebody just to do and just achieve something, may not necessarily transform their version of themselves per se. That we call it moderate. So don't jump the gun. You'll find how this is going to come. So among all those convictions, you may find there are convictions where you have a very high turnaround. It's like when somebody is brought into your life in that area, you actually turn them, you somersault and turn them around. You know, that kind of a thing. For me, the people I turn around completely, like somersault, like this, people who are either in transition or they're about to transition. They are planning. Maybe the next 1 year they are saying, I'm planning. Those people, I have a very high impact on them, very high. Another people that I have high impact, of course, is what I do. People who are trapped in self-discovery, low self-worth, dilemma. I think people who are in the victim mindset generally. They are blaming their parents, they are blaming their bosses, they don't take personal responsibility, and they are confused there in terms of they are trapped in their own self-discovery, and especially around the direction of purpose. Those people, bring them to me, I have a high impact in them. I turn them around, literally. Through me, of course, it's not me, it's God who turned them around, but God turned them around through me, very high. Now, I have another 2 sets, which when I map, they are in what I may call a bit middle layer. Because you still impact anybody anyway, everybody. You can have a sense of impact, but you need to classify what you have so that you prioritize your life. Otherwise, you'll end up chasing everybody. And you spend out of time people who you have low impact. Now, these are the people who already have purpose-led ideas, but they are struggling on execution. If you remember, our purpose map has 2 areas. There's the blueprint, which is in purple, and there's the blue where we talked about how you multiply, okay? So the people who come to me when they have clarity of the purpose side, of course we validate it, but I find where people, they are very clear on the purpose side, but they are struggling on execution. That part, I have high impact. There are people who want to break out from their past stagnation. I talked about the growth. I think I already talked about the people in the growth phase, and they want to come out of that stagnation. I've been learning this business is not growing. This career is not growing, you know, and they want to embrace a certain transformational change. I can assure you those people, I have high impact. Not very high, but I have high impact, okay? Then I have another cluster of people who I have a bit moderate. Now, these people who have, they kind of are open-minded, And this is where now I even tell people who are pure, even people are like atheist, people are indifferent. There are people who interact with the Sana era just for this I call it more cognitive influence. I love things that are more brainstorming, exchanging thought leadership, experimental thinking. You know, now that's a bit more scientific. Eh? So there are people who are interacting in that space. They are curious about AI, about neuroscience, about I may not even have any knowledge in those areas. But I have engaged people who are very open-minded. They're just challenging nature. They're kind of trying to bend laws of nature and, you know, trying to come up with very weird concepts and all that. There's a way I also impact those people in a certain way. That's more of a cognitive influence. They are curious. They want to have experimental learning and all that. So just that. I impact those people a lot. These are people who I call futurists. You know, there's people who only will tell you how this will happen in 2050, 2500, you know, 100 years to come. They have a certain erosion, imagined erosions. It may be tied also to the other one of curiosity. I have this Kagang here. I also have a lot of impact on them and influence on that. Now, that's how I classify the 3 buckets. What does that help me do? It helps me prioritize my effort because I cannot impact 8 billion people in the world. So the people who reach to me, they just want this brainstorming of the cognitive engagement, the thinking, the scientific exploration. They are in my red here. I will only prioritize them if I have nothing else to do. If I have no others, these others I have nowhere. So if I have a conflict, like now there's an event I've been invited this month on 20, it's on 20, I think 28th or 29th. It was on a Sunday in a certain church. And I told them, it's a big event that has almost 1,000 people. I'm looking at it. Apparently, I have another parallel engagement through that weekend. I'm weighing those 2 things using this grid. Because I can have the event on Sunday, which has almost 1,000 people. If it falls on the moderate, and then the other conflicting agenda is very high impact, guess what? I'll jump for the very high impact. Quickly, to help me, because that's why I have high impact, because that's what I'm living for. And the higher the impact, let me tell you later, even when it comes to fulfillment, when it comes even to later even things to do with reward, you are rewarded on value. That way is very high impact. It's where you're going to focus your energy because you can't do everything for everybody. I don't know whether I've understand something. So for you, Barbara, no worry. By the time you're doing the 7th iteration, as we say, no worry. The confusion right now is very normal. Don't feel like it's something about it's actually okay. That confusion, very okay. You have mixed, people have so many needs. But you know what? Inside you, the redemption you're supposed to have for them is not everything. So let it take its own natural course. No worry. You list everything for now. Start with all those that, like the way you have done it, very good. But along the way, we'll start validating it slowly. Start saying, by the way, yeah. Like the people come to me, they need something. I'm telling them, no, that area, I know I can do it, but really not, it's not my primary. I'll put it as a secondary. So I can even refer you to somebody else who can do it. So people come to me for counseling. Yes, I have done some workplace counseling, but let me tell you, the last thing I do is actually that thing. This youth counseling, let me give you my friend. There's a friend I know will be, this is their core. I'll refer you there. Do they need counseling? Yes. But doesn't mean I have to address it myself. No. So you journal all the needs, no worry, but you let us try to see actually there are those that actually you have more convictions about, where you have more impact than the others. So by the time you're doing the 7th version of the map, which I guarantee is going to be around 7 version, you'll have gotten a singularity literally. It's going to be very simplified, very easy, and straight to the point. And that gives you a lot of empowerment because you know now I have control of what I should focus on and what I should not focus on. Babla, maybe I may have confused you more. I hope this can rationalize the journey.
No, you haven't. I would just appreciate if you, for instance, the first, if we validated it together. So that's
yes.
But otherwise, I'm appreciating where you're coming from. Yeah.
No worry, that's okay. We will, for now, at least because these are raw one, no worry. We will now spend more time, like even next Saturday, what we can do is, or even middle of the week, feel free, we can have a quick call even in the course of the week. Just talk about yours alone, and we kind of validate that. I can give you like a, say, a 30-minute session next week, just a complimentary session, 30 minutes maximum. Reach me out, where we kind of go through you only 30 minutes, just on confusion, nothing else, confusions. We try to clean down. I'm going to soundboard you some questions to think through, and it's going to be, it is not very far from what you have already done. No. It's likely just to take a certain clarity of the shape. That's generally what is likely to happen.
Thank you.
Good. So there's the other one for manage their mental well-being, maintain work. The same principles. I don't mean you remove. No. I'm just saying try to clarify, like, they are founded on what truth. What is that truth that is consistent, that is absolute, that is found in that? And then try to separate between wants and the needs. There's what people want and there's what they need. So that helps you a lot in terms of the cleanup. Shamim, because I can see our time is going up, we have approximately 5 minutes actually. For Shamim, I can see, yeah, at least you had at least one, so it's quite easy to comment on this. People need to develop in their career. So this the need for career development. I think that's how you can try to paraphrase in form of a need now. Instead of people who need, the confusion is the need for career development. I don't know whether it's development or the growth, whichever. Need for career development. That's the need now. So again, you're also subjected to the same process of, is it what they need? Is it what they want? And then what is the truth and absolute truth that is seated behind the scene that make that truth or the light, remember the light of the world, make that light transcending, absolute, and lifetime. That gives you an idea to see, let me peel the onion. Is it really, do they need career development? Or could there be something inside the career development so that I peel the onion more there? Maybe it's not development, probably is clarity of what they are developing. You never know. Because again, you can develop, but in the wrong side. You never know. So you start peeling the onion with question and you discover, by the way, is it that they need to develop their career or they need to develop themselves? Because again, there are people who develop career, they forget about themselves. I can be a very good accountant. And I hope the difference between personal development and professional development sometimes. So we need to start unpacking that onion to see, am I addressing the issue of developing the person, or is it developing the skillfulness, the competency side? And the question is, maybe my participation is in the developing the person, the who you are. When you are fully developed, which has nothing to do with the professional now, it's who you are. You understand your weakness, your strength, the self-discovery, the emotions and all that, and manage them. If you find now what to do, you are going to succeed. You never know. Or you could also be this person who, me, I don't deal with the person, I want to deal with the skills. Because God has given us capacity. There are people who sow the seed. I think it's Paul who was saying that, or it's Jesus, I think, who was saying, some of you plant, others waters. There are those who waters. So maybe your responsibility is to water, meaning the person already have built themselves in terms of the person. They have balanced emotions. They have a good sense of self-esteem. That has nothing to do whether you're an accountant or a finance or a HR professional. Maybe now more for me is to water you. You never know. Find your space there. So it could be your work is maybe to water people who are already, somebody planted. Somebody has already ground broken and planted. Now your work is kind of water. You never know. So always pray your role. Look at your confusion in terms of the space you are in. So try to don't focus on a very generalized concept. That may make you very overwhelming, of course. But you can try to see where is it that maybe I have more deeper redemptive grace towards. Because that conviction is a grace in you that you're dispensing to others. So it will help you prioritize slowly. It may be within the same context, no worry. If God affirms to still be the same, no worry. It can still remain as career development. But then you are going to get a direction around it. But then, at this stage, I would advise for Shamim, expand your convictions. It is very rarely that you start with 1, 3 layers. So expert, myself actually I started with 5, I have converged into 3. But I still use the 5 as a reference. The way I've journaled them. There are 5, but mostly there are 3 that are very convergent. And I can almost converge now later. So start wider, you better converge later. Don't mind even if you start with the 10. No worry. In fact, I love when you have more when you're beginning the journey. Because if you start with the little, you have limited options for convergence. You'll be kind of limited already from the word go. So expand more convictions, because these are truths you have. Expand more convictions, then later now we can see how do they converge. That will make your process a bit more convergent as you go through the journey. So Shamim, I hope that gives you a sense of direction in a bit. Shamim, you're there? You're muted. All right, good. So I think for you also, if look for time next week, I can give each one of you 30 minutes. But we don't need to talk about conviction, your own conviction. But go and refine it now based on what I've already shared. When you refine them, then maybe you have a different way in which you're going to frame them. Then we can structure. And you can have a DM with me on Course of the Week next week. Before the next session, of course, we have a quick 30 minutes virtual just to help you on your convictions. I will help you in terms of refining it as an individual. Then when we meet on Saturday, then we can now fine-tune the convictions, and then we build on the niche. I've already given you the niche. I could have done that next Saturday. How you classify the niche in terms of the impact, but of course I'll guide you. You can attempt still now with what I've shared about the niche, revisit the niche. Don't use generalized niche. Sometimes people will tell you, I am called for men, full stop, all for, like, I think it's, I don't know, it's one of you either you called me before, let's say teenagers and all that. Try to also create a connection between the need and the niche. There should be a certain consistency around it. And you don't have to do a one-to-one mapping. What do I mean? Simply because you defined the need, the conviction, then on top of it, now you directly put the niche on top of it. You can have multiple convictions converging to one niche. So you can have actually teenagers who manifest all the needs you had laid down there, like even 5 needs, converging into one niche. It is possible. In fact, the more it converges, the better. So that you are saying, yes, I am attracted to people who are trying to discover themselves. They want to know their weaknesses, they raise their self-consciousness, awareness. But when you go to the niche, you may find it's actually one attribute. If you are called to transform drunkards, you may find it's drunkards alone, just drunkards. So the niche is likely to have a certain convergence. So don't have to do one-to-one like the way in that map. Doesn't mean that you take the first column and you go with it until the top. No. It should actually go like this kind of a certain convergence, kind of go linking towards a certain course. So it can be just 2 niche areas or 1 niche areas. Could be 4, no problem. But later, we are going to converge them slowly. So you may have maybe like 2 niche areas. So we can focus on the conviction and the niche the whole of next week. In between the week, let's have those conversations as much as possible. Let's make the WhatsApp group active so that when you're in something and you get a ball moment, we learn from each other. Barbara, you might be meditating something. By the way, I've seen, I was struggling because of 1, 2, 3. You might never know that also somebody else is struggling the same. Share it immediately. So let's make the group a bit active. We also learn from each other. I'll also learn from you. There's some of the things, of course, you later say, yeah, by then I not thought about that. So let's make the group a bit more learning, interactive session. Set some 15 minutes every day for a reflective exercise. It's going to help you a lot. 15 minutes, Mark, at least 15 in the busy schedule, where you're only looking at the map and looking at these convictions And your Saudi boarding, of course, prayerfully. Pray because it's God who give us those clarity and revelations. So don't just use the cognitive side of you, which is your brain. Couple it with the inspirations, of course, as you read the word of God, you do devotions, you pray. As you're going out there to talk to people, you're intentional, you are conscious, you're asking your beneficiaries, the mentees you have mentored in the past, the coaches, as you do that, do it in a raised consciousness so that you're a bit more intentional in the process. It's going to help you get some dots connect. As I said, don't be in a hurry. It may take like 5 versions to actually be able to be clear on this. I went through myself 5 versions, and I still have the versions to date. I have them the way they evolved up to where it is right now. So don't worry about the iterative nature of the process. It's very normal. Even after the training, after this coaching 10 weeks, you will continue refining it even afterwards. No worry, because there are new, fresh reflections you get even as you interact with other realities along the way. So I think we can pack any quick take home as we wind up. Babla, any takeaway?
Thank you very much, Coach. Takeaways, what can I say? There are so many, but one of them is that we need to take our convictions should be closer to the absolute need, away from the want.
Yeah.
Because what is a want might not be actually what people need.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest take home. And that when those things are happening or you're thinking around the convictions, we need to keep on asking, going deeper into looking out for the needs. Yeah, that's my biggest take home.
Thank you so much. So the second one we call peel the onion. Keep peeling the onion. All right.
Yes.
Shamim.
Thank you very much. So my takeaway is really that if we're talking about peeling the onion, I think we're still on the surface. We're still very raw. And yeah, we need to be more intentional in order to really dig deep and just uncover. I like what you said about allowing yourself to really have various options before converging, so you can truly exhaust everything, not have that mentality that maybe I'm wrong, maybe I should have considered something different. So there's a way that everything that we are working towards converges into a single purpose. So I believe that every step that we're taking right now is going to lead us to that. And through that, we will lead even many, many others into understanding their true purpose. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I've just captured 4 takeaways from you guys. This is powerful. I'm going to post them. One is focus on what people need, not what people want. That's a takeaway. Then the other one is you need to peel the onion, intentional to peel the onion. Then the third one is being intentional, especially in probing circumstances. Don't assume. In fact, there's somebody who mentored me many years ago when I was in the career in the working environment, and told me assumption is the lowest level of ignorance. Don't assume anything. Never assume anything. Don't assume. And the last one, which I think is what Shamim you have ended up with, is don't be preemptive or rote. This is a discovery journey. Avoid the temptation to preempt. I already know this, because it might be informed by already what you're doing. And that can hold you back a lot. Or because, for example, simply because, let's say, like Shamim, you're in HR, doesn't mean that you're called for HR professionals. You may be shocked. You may be called for other people that you've never thought about. So don't be preemptive at this stage. So be very fluid. Think liquid. Be very fluid to allow yourself flow. You discover some other mystery that probably is beyond even what you're doing. Yes, they could be the ones, but you never know. So be a bit very fluid in the process. I think that's what I'm going to put as be fluid. So it's also something that I'm trying to summarize in a certain logical manner. So you're saying focus on what people need, not what they want. Peel the onion further. Be intentional in probing. Never assume. Don't assume or judge. Ali. Be fluid. So meaning don't be preemptive, so that you don't hold other possibilities that could be there that you are not conscious about. Thank you so much. As you do this, the final thing is be prayerful. Do it prayerfully, because at the end of the day, God can reveal it to you without even a struggle. So God, I mean, is the author of everything. So he can also be able to give you quick reflections and have a convergence as is possible. Thank you so much for your time. Really always a pleasure to engage you. And I hope that this is helping you in a way shape up and be able to have clarity around the process. I'm sure it's going to get clearer as we go by. By the time you're reaching the 5th week, I expect there'll be a sense of direction somehow taking shape as we move on. So God bless you and have a joyful week ahead.
God bless you too, Coach. Thank you so much for the sacrifice.
Welcome.
Yeah.
God bless you too.
Thank you too. Good one.